red loops of cloth around their arms or wrists, a reminder of their fallen home. Anyone wearing such a cloth beyond the accepted limits invited robbery, beatings, or far worse. Over the past 2 weeks, Kael and Bree had heard of the speaker's growing dissatisfaction at Weshern's treatment of New Galen's residents.
"They shouldn't be here," Bree said. "The punishment doesn't make any sense. We're the ones they claim caused Galen to crash into the ocean."
Bree shook her head.
"Not us. Galen's people. Putting them here among us is a cruelty to those who've suffered enough already."
Kael shrugged.
"Maybe the speaker's hoping to teach us to get along? Then he's doing a piss-poor job of it."
Another fluttering piece of red cloth. Kael's mood sank even further.
"Where else were they to go?" he asked. "Whose land should have been given to them instead?" "I don't know," Bree said. "The only easy answer's at the bottom of the ocean."
The hour passed, and with bittersweet relief, Kael stepped into his hometown of Lowville. The main road ran through their quaint market, and Kael debated circling around it to avoid the growing crowd. With the afternoon approaching evening, people were beginning to filter in from the fields, clothes soaked with sweat, hands worn and caked with dirt. Kael swallowed his nerves and kept his head held high as they walked through the stone booths, covered with thick cloth tarps held aloft by wooden poles. Passing through the market unnoticed would have been fine with him, but there was no chance of that. Not with his sister at his side.
"Phoenix!"
2 little boys came dashing over, weaving through the crowd like Seraphim, avoiding blasts of ice and fire. They each wielded a pair of thin sticks, undoubtedly the sharpest of blades in their minds. When they jolted to a halt before Bree, they smiled up at her with unabashed awe.
"Can we see your swords?"
the first asked.
"Yeah, your fire swords, where are they?" asked the second.
Bree blushed, and she glanced at Kael as if expecting him to rescue her.
"Well, Phoenix," Kael asked, "where are they?"
"I don't have them with me," Bree said, kneeling down before the two.
"I only carry them when I'm in danger, but I'm not in danger here, am I? Not with you two here to protect me."
They beamed, and they thrust out their chests and pulled back their shoulders.
"That's right, we will."
Bree laughed as she poked one in the stomach, then rose to her feet. Her smile vanished upon seeing a woman, apparently the boy's mother, rushing over.
"Don't mind them,"
she said, grabbing each by the wrist and pulling them away despite their protests.
"They're just so proud knowing you came from our town. They're no bother,"
Bree said, tilting her head in a vain attempt to hide her face with her short, dark hair.
"None at all,"
Kael added, and he put a hand on Bree's shoulder to guide her forward. More people were gathering, forming a loose ring of onlookers, and he wanted to get his sister moving before she locked up completely. The 2 boys shouted, "Bye!" waving the sticks in their free hands as their mom pulled them back. Kael led the way through the market, the onlookers parting. Murmurs followed their every step, and always amid them was that single word: Phoenix.
"They're all staring," Bree muttered, shifting even closer to him. "What are they hoping for?" "For you to shoot fire out of your fingers, maybe?" Kael said. "Just keep moving."
Thankfully, pleasant calm greeted them once they reached the market's exit. Picker Street wasn't far, and when they turned south, a lump grew in Kael's throat. How long had it been since he was home? How long since he'd seen his aunt? A year, he guessed, but it felt like a lifetime. He'd left as a student, hoping to not fail out of the academy. Now they returned having fought in battle and taken the lives of others. The person he'd been felt so distant and unrecognizable. No, not the person, that wasn't it. Just that life. Of waking without responsibilities beyond long, tedious hours in a field. Of living without believing anyone's life was in his hands beyond his own. Of sleeping without reliving the same battles over and over.
"So strange coming home," Bree said,
and Kael wondered if her thoughts mirrored his.
"You don't have to tell me."
Upon reaching Aunt Bethy's home, they found the door locked and the inside quiet. "Think she locked the windows, too?" Bree asked, staring up at the second floor.
"Only one way to find out."
Kael